One of the things that you'll wind up having to do at some point in your life, again, unless you're so rich that you never actually have to go and consider what bank to use, although if you're rich, you still are looking at banks because that's where you're going to put your money. The different types of banks that are out there, and what do these titles mean on banks? And so hopefully this will kind of give you an idea as to what you could do. And I'm guessing that in this case, wherever you live, this will make some sense. That especially if I say a savings and loan or a credit union, I think I've seen those before, or it might be in my neighborhood that there's a credit union or a savings and loan. We don't really call them savings and loans anymore. We just refer to everything as banks, but there's different types. So first of all, let's start at the top of the biggest ones. Commercial banks are what I call the big boys. Commercial banks are probably where you're getting a credit card. So if I have a credit card in my pocket, and it might have any name you want on the credit card, but then when I flip it over and see what bank it's associated with, and it says Bank of America, that's one of the big financial institutions in the country, and they issue credit cards. Technically, any bank could do that, but when you're getting into smaller savings and loans in towns and cities, then, like there's a bank in my town that's called the First Bank of Tiffin. It wasn't the very first bank, but it's called First Bank of Tiffin. Well, that is going to be a much smaller savings and loan. Now, what's the good of that? Well, you have more personal attention than you do at a commercial bank. A commercial bank isn't so much concerned with individuals. They're concerned more with corporate accounts, big business accounts. And then, of course, they'll issue credit cards to people, and then the credit card business is a big part of their banking system. So that's more of commercial. When you're talking savings and loans, you're talking walking into a bank, maybe speaking to a teller or a loan officer, and it's more one-on-one. I might put my savings in this bank. And again, it's in my town. I know these people. And this is where I would go sit down and say, okay, I'm thinking about buying a house. I'm thinking about buying a car. I need a loan. Or I'm going to college and I need to have a loan. That's what you call a savings, because how it operates is the only way these banks operate. They need you to put your savings, your money, in their bank, because then what they do with it, savings and loan. What they then do with it is, I need that money. Open a savings account, please. And then we're going to take that money and loan it out to people. And then banks are businesses. And then when those people pay those loans back, they pay them back with interest. And so then when they pay them back with interest, bank makes money. And since you have your savings account in my bank, well, I'll kick you a little bit of that interest. You get a little bit of interest too, because you had your money in my bank. The only way savings and loans function is by people putting their money in the bank. So that way the bank has money to loan. So that is a savings and loan, more local. Again, more local, credit unions. Credit unions function much like a savings and loan. First of all, you have to be a member. So it's a little more like a club. And depending where you work, you might have a savings and loan that's attached to your job. You might have a savings and loan that could be attached to your church. In my town, we have savings and loans that are, like one is called the St. Joseph's Savings and Loan. Well, that's the name of one of our churches. Now, does that mean you can only join that if you're a member of their church? No, but if you're a member of their church, that's who started the whole thing. That's kind of the bulk of it. So now a credit union, what that does, you're a union. Think of a union, just like a labor union. And you're pooling your money together, much like you would do in a savings and loan, but it's much more private, it's much more personal. So then we're all together in this union, in this credit union, and if one of the members of our credit union needs a loan for something, well then we can discuss it and decide if that's a good route to take with our money. But it's just like a savings and loan. You pay back interest, it's the same thing. It's just more of a more local and privatized group rather than a bank, like a savings and loan. Finally, you have things called brokerage firms. Brokerage firms are mainly there for investment reasons. So I can have an account, you can almost call it a savings account with a brokerage firm, but now I'm looking into probably stocks and where is that money going to go? And then as I hopefully make money off of my investments, then that money is also kept by the brokerage firm, then I can tap into that, just like a bank. So much like a bank with savings and where's my money and okay, I made extra money this month off my investments, that's great. And now I have an account that I can draw from, that would be a brokerage firm. So when you're looking at what type of banks are out there, commercial banks, the big boys. They're the ones who deal with corporate America. They're the ones who issue credit cards. Local banks, local savings and loans, local credit unions are there to kind of assist your personal needs. What do you need today, Todd? Oh, you're buying a house. Wow. That's saving loans and credit unions. And then brokerage firms, again, are more of the investment type. So when you're out there and you're deciding what to do with your money, those are the type of options that are available to you. And a lot of times you might be involved with a few of these. I have a credit card from a major commercial bank in my pocket, but then I also have my money and I do most of my business with a local bank in my town, a local savings and loan. So you can combine these two. You just have to know and understand what the bank is for. Banks are businesses. They are there to make money. Yes, they want to protect your money, sure, in a savings account, but they need that money to loan out so they can get that payment back and they can get it plus interest, and the bank makes money too. So those are the type of financial institutions that are out there and what you can do when you want to put your money someplace. We'll see you next time.